Have you ever noticed? The people who know the least speak with the most certainty. Not sometimes. Always. They don't hesitate. They don't question. They just know. Or at least, they think they do. The expert. They pause. They qualify. They say it depends. But the amateur. They give you answers like they're reading from a scripture they wrote themselves. This isn't confidence. It's something darker. A trick your brain plays when you're too ignorant to realize how ignorant you are. Welcome to the Dunning-Kruger Effect, where incompetence feels like genius. It starts with something small. A friend who read one article suddenly becomes an expert on economics. A coworker who watched a documentary now lectures everyone on climate science. Someone who took one psychology class thinks they can diagnose your entire personality. And they don't just share opinions. They declare truth. Actually, that's not how it works. You're completely wrong about this. I know what I'm talking about. The confidence is stunning, unshakable, and completely unearned. Meanwhile, the actual expert in the room stays quiet. Because they know something the amateur doesn't, how much they don't know. Here's the brutal psychology behind it: incompetence hides itself. When you know nothing about a subject, you lack the skills to recognize how little you know. You can't see the gaps because you don't even know the gaps exist. Your ignorance becomes invisible to you. It's like being blind to your own blindness. The research is clear. In 1999, psychologists David Dunning and Justin Kruger tested people on grammar, logic, and humor. Then they asked them to rate their own performance. The results? The bottom 25%, the worst performers, thought they were above average. Not just confident, genuinely convinced they'd done well. Why? Because the same skills you need to be good at something are the exact skills you need to judge whether you're good at it. If you can't do it, you can't evaluate it. Your incompetence is a shield that protects your ego from the truth. But here's where it gets darker. This isn't just about quiz scores. It's about everything. Medicine, politics, relationships, parenting. People give advice on things they've never studied, never lived, never truly understood, and they do it with the confidence of someone who spent a lifetime mastering it. And the worst part, they believe themselves completely. Because when you're at the bottom of the mountain, you can't see how high the peak actually is. You look around, see nothing above you, and assume you're at the top. You're not. You're just standing in the valley, calling it a summit. But here's the part that makes this truly disturbing: we're all guilty of it. Think about it. When was the last time you confidently explained something you only half understood? When did you scroll past an article, read the headline, and then share your informed opinion with someone? How many times have you said, "I'm pretty sure," when you weren't sure at all? The Dunning-Kruger effect isn't something that happens to other people. It's something that happens to you, to me, to everyone. Because here's the psychological trap: the less you know, the less you realize there is to know. You learn a little. You feel competent. You think, okay, I get this now. And you stop. You stop reading. Stop questioning. Stop learning. Because you've reached a point where you feel comfortable enough to speak, but not educated enough to know you shouldn't. That's the peak. The peak of Mount Stupid. And here's what's chilling about it: actual experts go through the opposite journey. When you first start learning something, confidence rises fast. Then, the more you learn, the more you realize how complex it really is. Your confidence drops. You enter what researchers call the valley of despair. You start saying things like, "It's complicated," and "I'm not sure," because you've seen enough to know how much you don't see. Only after years, sometimes decades, do you climb back up to genuine competence. And even then, you're humble. Because real knowledge teaches you one undeniable truth. The more you know, the more you realize how little you know. But the person stuck at Mount Stupid, they never made it to the valley. They're still up there, thinking they've conquered the whole range. And they'll argue with you about it. Loudly. Because ignorance isn't quiet. Ignorance is the loudest voice in the room. So how do you know if you're the one stuck on Mount Stupid? That's the hardest part. Because if you are, you won't know it. That's the whole point. But there are signs. And they're uncomfortable to confront. Do you find yourself speaking in absolutes? Always? Never? Definitely. Real understanding lives in nuance. Ignorance lives in certainty. Do you get defensive when someone corrects you? Experts welcome correction, it's how they learn. Amateurs take it personally. Because their ego is wrapped up in being right, not in getting better. Do you avoid people smarter than you? If you're uncomfortable around experts, it's because deep down, you know they'll expose what you don't know. And your brain would rather protect the illusion than face the truth. Here's the final twist, even knowing about the Dunning-Kruger effect doesn't save you from it. You can't just read this and think, oh, good thing I'm self-aware. Because now you're confident about your self-awareness, which might just be another layer of the same trap. The only real defense is intellectual humility. And that's not something you achieve. It's something you practice. Every single day. Ask more questions than you answer. Say, I don't know more than you say, I'm sure. Seek out people who know more than you and listen, actually listen to what they say. Because the moment you think you've figured it all out, that's when you know you haven't. The smartest thing you can say is the hardest thing for your ego to accept, I might be wrong. So the next time you hear someone speak with absolute certainty, pause. Ask yourself, do they really know? Or do they just not know enough to doubt themselves? And then ask the harder question, am I doing the same thing? Because the first step to wisdom isn't knowledge. It's knowing you don't have it. Are you at the peak of Mount Stupid? Drop a snow-capped mountain if this made you question yourself.